Natasha, what are your thoughts on this one?
I am so distressed and worried by this phenomenon. And these are like remarkable charts you can look at where prediction market monthly volumes in like 2024, which is not that long ago, were essentially nothing. And now they have exploded to $25 billion of monthly volumes. And I think from like an economic perspective, this raises like a host of questions about like who is doing this betting and also what the consequences are for those people. We've read all of the anecdotes about the fact that you're watching certain populations, often low and middle income Americans, who are becoming addicted to the idea of being able to task these online bets with regularity. And a question that I have, I'm a tax person, is like, should we think seriously about the idea of imposing excise taxes essentially on online betting, not just prediction market betting, but also sports betting more generally?
So New York is now actively fighting in court because they believe that Kalshi and these other prediction markets should be treated like sports betting companies, FanDuel, DraftKings. And by the way, FanDuel and DraftKings are now getting into the prediction markets because they want a piece of that action. Does this explosion during World Cup of activity on Kalshi and Polymarket, does that help Kathy Hochul's case to say this is gambling just like anything else?
Yeah, it should. I mean, it is gambling like anything else. I mean, it's either you regulate it as gambling the way you regulate gambling at the state level, or you have the CFTC regulate it, because essentially it's not any different than betting on future prices of commodities, for example. It's really not that much different, except there's no productive aspect to it. And I absolutely share the concern. I mean, you're creating more addiction among people who probably can't afford to lose the money that they're going to lose on this. And then you've got the problem of actors in the real world engaging in manipulation, like, you know, I mean, of these prediction markets for their own profit. I mean, we had Truth Social we talked about last week. I mean, we saw last week there was a report that Truth Social is going to sell advance information on the president's tweets, which gives him an incentive to make market-moving statements. Right. And, you know, both for these prediction markets and for purposes of the commodities and securities markets. But also is basically a form of insider trading. You're paying for inside information.
We read this weekend about Trump's teleprompter operator, right? That's exactly what that is.
Okay, I feel bad for him because everybody, those other people are getting away with it. Okay, this poor guy.
Exactly. Like the teleprompter operator is like the lamb getting sent to the slaughter, right? The teleprompter operator is like when we had the subprime crisis and the junior banker, okay, goes down and nobody else does. Like, you mean to tell me that nobody in the whole administration universe is engaging in Kalshi and Polymarket betting on information they know? But the guy, literally the lowest guy in the totem pole who is operating the teleprompter, that guy goes down with the press secretary saying, we have a serious code of ethics that we just must follow in this White House. Brother, please.
But I mean, ethics. But gambling leads to societal rot. There's a reason why it has been so verboten for decades, for centuries, for millennia, because everybody knows that it leads to bad outcomes, that it takes people who do not have money, that are looking for something, a big win, to change their lives, and they don't get it. 90% of all of this money is going to go to the Kalshis or the platforms. That's how it works. You lose 90% of the time. And as everybody said, now you have people there who are like, wait a second, I can do this, I can make this thing, I can have that. And now, look, I mean, think about that. We just had a gambling scandal in the NBA, right, where this stuff is happening. So now you have all of this incentive for not only the gamblers or those people who maybe bet on an oil future because they know we're going to launch drones, right? Now you have people like football, baseball, and you don't, it's by the pitch, it's by the serve in tennis. This stuff is insidious.
Okay, but that's why, right, to your point, Kalshi and Polymarket are always going to get paid because they're the middleman. Right. That's the same thing, right? When you look at crypto, all these crypto investors lost their shirt this year, but Trump made a killing in World Liberty Financial because he's the exchange. Right. And we're going to see the same exact see the same exact thing happen with Truth Social. Yeah. Because they're not, when we talk about what you pay, Truth Social is potentially going to charge people $100,000 a month for this advanced information. So it doesn't even matter what Trump says, whether the market goes up or down. They're getting paid just to put the information out.
Absolutely. And
right.
I mean,
Trump finally learned how to be the casino and make money.
That's right.
He failed at it as a business person, and now he's like, no, I figured out the gig.
Finally figured out the House advantage. Absolutely. And it just is insidious because it's just all so corrupt. I mean, that is the real issue here, is the corruption that we see every day that people are just becoming inured to. This White House in particular. And people just say, well, everybody does that, and everybody wants to get in it. That cameraman, not the cameraman, the teleprompter guy wants to get into it because that's what they say.
Okay, but it's beyond him. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that there is these concerns that more and more Washington insiders that have access to information want to get involved in these markets, and part of it comes from an administration.
Yeah.
Traditionally, when we see business people leave their business background or put it on hold to go to Washington, they're saying, I'm not going to make money right now. But we are now seeing an administration use their positions in government to get mind-blowingly rich.
Right.
And now it's sliding down deeper and deeper and deeper. Lots of other people are jumping in the dirty reflecting pool and saying, I want a quick buck. I want my summer vacation
This
for
makes
free.
insider trading on stocks look downright legitimate, right? Comparatively.
Then doesn't it blow your mind that we're hearing almost nothing from people in the financial industry, right? So we're not hearing from banking heads, from investors, like all sorts of major people in business weigh in on lots of things outside the investment community, yet they've been almost radio silent here.
I think it's so interesting. I mean, I can make an argument for why the prediction markets provide some value, right? Because as we're all trying to learn, the twists and turns about what's going to happen in the next primary, we're looking at Kalshi and seeing the odds, and that's providing us some information.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is that obviously we know that a lot of what is happening on these platforms, or even if just some of what is happening on these platforms, has that flavor, has concerns about manipulation or concerns about insider trading. And you wonder why this silence. And my sort of thesis for it, I guess, is that we are very bad at trying to get it ahead of regulating new types of technologies,
But
new types
Natasha,
of
this
sectors.
is worse than us being like, we don't understand the Facebook. People in this, Don Jr.
I still don't.
Don Jr. is an advisor to both Kalshi and Polymarket. To act like we don't know this, right? Howard Lutnick's background, Cantor Fitzgerald, is a broker's broker. That is what they do. So this isn't like, well, we've got a bunch of old people in Congress and they just can't figure out the Facebook.
What is
they
crypto?
Absolutely know what this is. Yeah. And Kalshi is going to start. You're going to be able to make wagers soon on clinical trials and FDA approvals. Come on now.
No, and look, we've seen this. This is what happens, right? So let's talk about crypto in 2024. Now we're seeing it with AI. Before long, Kalshi and Polymarket are now going to get into their own game, which is how much money can I afford to put into elections to ensure that only politicians that agree to leave me alone are elected? And that's what's going to happen.